at that time she was living in India, 15 years old. She's engaged to someone from the UK. Did you meet him?
No meeting.
So never met him.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel.
If you are new to our channel, make sure you hit that like button, comment down below, and also subscribe to our channel.
Yes, also follow us on social media. That's the way you will gonna find out our current update, and also when we are posting video, which is every Sunday. Thanks to our girl behind the camera, Kiran Deep Aurile.
Yes, join our family by hitting that subscribe button.
Yes, love you guys.
Love you
very much. So.
We've got such a good topic, such a juicy topic, something that I'm so excited that we can share with you, and something that I love to talk about, and also it's just something that's made my mom who she is today. We're going to talk about mom's arranged marriage story.
Yes, arranged marriage back in, is it pre-80? Pre-90?
Yeah, it's about the 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pre-80, yeah. When I got married. Yeah, looking back, let me recall what was happened then, what went wrong or what went right.
This story is really good because it shows you how societies have changed, and also how mom changed. It's like stop the cycle as well, so that what she experienced, she didn't want the same for her kids. So she's going to give us her experiences, and I can give you my experiences of having arranged marriage parents. It's a good story, and it's really it's obviously everyone's
uplifting, isn't it?
It's uplifting because the mom made it uplifting, but also there's so many negative connotations to it, so it's good to bring to light our experiences of it, and yeah, just share our story.
So as you know, or if you don't know, I born and brought up in India, and I studied there and grown up there with my family. I was the only child.
She was the only child, guys! In that era where that wasn't very common at all.
No.
But mum was the only child because her parents struggled to conceive, so her mum kept having miscarriages and lost some children, didn't she?
We will actually
do another
video on this one. Is some people will help you guys, you know, what my mom and dad went through. But yes, I was survivor.
And she was the golden child, survivor from the start.
So, about like when I was 13 or 14, you know, in India, when you are like 13 or 14, especially a girl, and they think that's it, you are ready for a marriage, even a boy, and then you know, like your relatives, your friend, family, whatever, they just start recommending you, you know, boy or girl or whatever, to your family, obviously. And I had I think 4 or 5. They keep coming to my dad and my mom, and I was keep telling them I'm not ready. All I was wanted to one thing, and that was just one thing, was education and getting to college, getting to university, and you know, study. All I was wanted in studying and spiritual. I don't know why, but I was very, very spiritual child. So and I told my dad, you know, obviously I couldn't go to the spiritual path because I was the only child and I was a girl. So my responsibility was I have to look after my dad and mom. I raised up as like a boy kind of thing, you know, I was tomboy, so it's like, it was like for me, my responsibility was my dad and mom to look after, and they don't go any any emotions or any negativity or any embarrassment or any shame.
Yeah, because I think it's crazy because like mom said, she was the only child, so she was treated like a boy as she was growing up. Like mom, like my granddad did a lot of things with mom that a lot of girls at her age didn't get a chance to do. So in Mum's generation, when we grew up in the 70s, in the 70s, girls, like young girls,
80s probably,
weren't allowed to go out the house with their dad, like you know, shopping and all that sort of stuff, and going out to the town and things like that. Girls' jobs was literally to stay at home with the mom, do the cooking, the cleaning, all that sort of stuff. All the traditional things that we hear, that was the realities. So Mom grew up very different. She kind of like lived more of the boys' life in that generation. But then when it came to marriage, it was still
backward,
still seen as, you know, Mom's a woman, and like girls weren't allowed to just once you get to a certain age, that's it, you just had to be married. You weren't allowed to be single in the sense of,
or you wasn't allowed to study more, because only my dad was an education personal, and he didn't have education, and him, if you read and write, add up, and that's enough, that's good enough, you are ready to get married. And also I used to wear a lot of like boys' clothes, shirts, and you know, proper trousers. And I remember when I was like, you know, 12, and we moved from one place to another. It's like one state to another state. And when we came from this state, there was more like backward people. And then I used to get a lot of comments, or people used to, if I'm walking, they used to stop me, and they used to say to me, you know, you are a girl, look, you got boobs coming out, and you should wear a suit, like, you know, like a kameez,
a Punjabi traditional like woman's suit. We'll have to insert a picture.
Yeah, that's it. So you have to cover your, you know, boobs with the like a dupatta or a scarf or something. And I used to get really upset. You know, I thought, why? You know, this is my like outfit. And then obviously they would start telling to my mom as well. And prior to that, my friend actually, she was like me. We was wearing like shirts, blouses, and trousers. And she, her sister made her like, you know, the kameez and salwar, Indian traditional outfit. And because she was wearing, and I forced my dad to go there and buy me a outfit, and he made it for me, the outfit. And I went actually out with my dad and with my friend, and we took the photographs. I don't know where the photographs is now. I think my friend, she still have it, but you know, that was like me for me. Oh my god, I was wearing like in a suit, and I felt so good. But coming back to this story,
basically what Mom's trying to say is that she, you know, wasn't ready for marriage. She didn't have a traditional upbringing as a girl, and she just wanted to study. But the reality of her generation was she was at the age where you just had to get married, and like the parents felt that their duty was to just get you married.
And also like my parents start having pressure from their family, from their friends. And anyway, so cut story short, I was engaged when I was 15, and I was in 10th grade. Is it year 10 here? And that was it. And I finished my school, and then I wouldn't able to go to school anymore, so I have to just wait to get a visa. And
so yeah, she was engaged, but she was engaged to someone from the UK. So Mom currently at that time she was living in India, 15 years old. She's engaged to someone from the UK. Did you meet him?
No meeting.
So never met him. Like, it was just the families knew each other, and the families decided that these two, like their son and Mom's, like, you know, their daughter are gonna get married, and they're engaged.
His family came to us. They saw me, and they like kind of interview me, and they think I'm good enough for their son, and off you go. We were fixed. Without him seeing me or me seeing him.
So her Mom's Bobby, for people who don't know, it was basically her brother's wife, and Mom spent a lot of time with her, and she was, for that era...
Whose brother?
His cousin, my cousin.
So mum's cousin brother, basically like a brother. So yeah, it was mum's cousin's brother, basically like a brother's wife. And in that era, in that time, in the 80s, 90s, it was 80s, wasn't it? Late 80s. In this country, still with Indians, it was still that whole cultural, societal pressures. Women can't do this, women can't cut. Like all the stories mum tells me, in her time when she came over, they weren't allowed to cut their hair. It was like, if you cut your hair, you weren't talked to for a couple of weeks. Like it was like a lot of pressure on these women to still conform to all these pressures. And mum's Bobby, like she said, her sister-in-law, was like in a league of her own. She had her own mind, she was independent, she was very strong, she was, one of the leaders, like we can say, of feminism, and one of the changes, like one of the people who've changed the way that we're living now because of people like her. Like she actually stood up for what she believed in and stood up for women, and that's what she did for mum. So I agree, mum's Bobby.
Yeah.
Mommy, you are strong lady.
Yeah, so
she saved mum.
So she went, obviously with the family, she went to see my husband, and she was so happy, and she was saying, oh my god. She came back and she was saying, Mummy, he's exactly like you. He's very talkative and he's good looking and he's just good for you. And then so I can't remember exactly, a few days later, I think they came to our house, and then whole family was sitting in the lounge, and everybody was looking at me from his family. And then then I had to go into the kitchen, and then my puppy Honey called my husband over, and we got 10 minutes to talk. 10 minutes, that's it. 10 minutes. So we just talked.
Can you remember anything that you talked about?
I don't even remember. I was really shy, and it's like it's.
Mum felt embarrassed.
Very embarrassed and very uncomfortable. I was not even looking at him. I can't, it was really difficult for me. But I don't know what he's seen in me, and he was asking me, can you make a food? I said yes. He said, can you? So at that time that was the big thing. I said yes. And he asked me, what is your dream or whatever, and I said, just looking after the family, and he's seen that in me, the quality,
That he was looking for.
Yeah, so he said that then, he went away, and then I remember, because it's like, obviously, you have to say yes, yeah? No one bother about my yes, do I want this guy or not? Only they cared about his yes. Then when he said yes, and everyone over the moon, and all we just quickly went to the court marriage. It's called court marriage at that
registry,
time. Yeah.
Civil, they're called civil ceremonies. So it's basically like the English legal marriage.
So we done that within, within 2 weeks, see his family, he came to us and got married, got the civil marriage. For Indian culture, the civil marriage is not really like proper marriage, so you have to do proper
Indian wedding in the temple, and that is considered the actual marriage.
That's the actual marriage. Then that happened in like
a year later?
It's like 8-9 months later.
So she had the civil marriage, so she was technically married in the English law, but she wasn't in the Indian culture, so she carried on living with her family until she had the Indian wedding. And then we'll have to tell you some stories about how she faced the in-laws and all the stories behind that, but we'll leave that for another video.
Yes. So let's see pro
and cons of marriage.
of arranged marriage.
Okay. So the pros are that
I think pros are good because your family look for you, they look for the family values, they look for, they got kind of, they are wealthy. Sometimes you can't really see that, but they see, the like surnames is really big for us because it's like if you got the same surname, is your kids, is very chance of your kids getting I don't want to say
basically in our culture the whole incestuary
it's not
belief
acceptable.
is not acceptable. You can't have the same, used to be more, but now it's like 4 surnames, so you can't, like I wouldn't be able to get married with my mum's, obviously my surname, my mum's maiden name, my dad's mother's maiden name, and my mom's maiden name.
So,
4 surnames.
It's important. Yeah.
So that's one thing. So I think the ideal of why arranged marriages were there, in the sense that they want the long term, the longevity of it. They want the families, because families can be important. The way you're brought up can be important. Like I've realised as well, like even in this country, in this generation, that the way you're brought up can affect so many things, and it can affect your children later on if you're both been brought up so differently. I mean, no one's the same, but if your upbringings are completely different, it's hard for you to come together on one page, and then it affects your kids as well, because you can't agree together and you don't create a stable environment for them. So in all of that, those reasons for it, there's massive pros to it, but the big cons for me is the fact that it was always the societal pressures of it. So it was like people, I think it might still happen now, but not as bad, but back then it was like no one was allowed to breathe. Like poor mum's parents, like they weren't making the decisions on their own, they weren't looking at what's best for their child, their family. It was just like what everyone else believed was right for their family. So people were telling them that they need to get their daughter married, and then when mum came here and had a month to get married or whatever, it wasn't the parents deciding, actually let's make a decision, what do we want. It was like, oh, we need to please that person, we need to cover our ego, and then the family in here are thinking about their own ego. It's just like, actually let's think about the people involved in this, don't think about yourself. So that's a massive con for me, is just the societal pressures and people thinking about what other people think instead of thinking about themselves. What do you think?
I think that's the major cons, which is almost disappear now. People have realized. My cons is like, you just because it's so much pressure. The girl and boy, they didn't get the choice. They don't really have a saying. Are you agreed or you disagreed? It's because it's like just pressure. Under pressure, you just say yes, because you think, and they make sure they will tell you, if you say no, this is gonna happen, and because you think, oh, I don't want to let my family down, or I don't want to be in the situation where my family feels embarrassed, you just say yes. Say go, just say go for your saving your family. So it's it's like a personal. You don't have a personal choice at that time.
Yeah, and that's another big con for me, is that the people involved in it, so like mom and dad, they didn't know each other. So how, people want you to be married, and marriage is like a long-term thing based on love, based on so many different factors, and they don't know each other.
Yeah, so that exactly for me, yes, it can it's like you don't have a relationship, you don't know each other, you don't know what he likes, dislike, or whatever,
whether you're on the same wavelength, whether you've got the same ambitions in life. Like mom and dad were lucky, kind of not lucky in a sense. I think they obviously fell in love, but I think I've said this before in another video, like I don't think that if they both had the choice, they'd probably have been together, because like mom what mom's vision for life and dad's vision, like it
was completely different.
Your
so
vision
if we
in
wasn't
life is really
put together,
important.
we would never, we would
cross
never
paths
pass
probably.
it now.
Yeah.
And another concept is like, you fall in love in after, and because you know you are here for a good, and you are here forever. You have to make it work. That is like that's the big thing, because it's a pro, isn't it? Because you don't have a choice. That's a con, but pro is like you have to make it work. And when you don't have a choice, you make it work, and you'll be surprised how you can make it work. You find the solutions that work for me, because it's like there was some point I did wanted to get out of my marriage, but it's like again pressure from my dad, and he was keep saying, oh, you can't do that. It's like what people are gonna think if you do that. So it's just because of the pressure, you stayed in the marriage and you just work it.
And on Mum's wedding day, she cried from start to finish. If you get her photos out one day, I don't know where they are now, but I remember when we were kids, like obviously we're growing up in the UK. We grew up in Worcestershire, where we grew up in a village surrounded by English people. So going to school, they talk about wedding. You look at the wedding photos, and Mum's crying the whole time.
Not the whole time.
She was. It was bad.
Not the whole time.
And then I'd be like, Mum, why were you crying? And she was like, I didn't want to get married. And then as a kid, you're like, what is going on? You're so confused. Your friends are saying all these love stories, and you're asking your mom, and Mom's saying I didn't want to get married, and she's crying in her photos, and you're thinking, what the hell is going on? But then as you get older, obviously you learn and understand what happened. But it's just interesting because, like Mom said, she absolutely did not want to do it. Like not even a 0.5% of her wanted to do this, but because of all the pressures and all of that, she had no choice but to make it work. So in a sense, I get where she's coming from, and I think as society has moved on, there's not that same sense of like hard, like we have to resilience, we have to make it work no matter what, because the reality of it is marriage is hard, relationships are hard, they're not going to be perfect ever, they're always going to be tested, they're always going to be ups and downs. But the reality is, if you want to make a marriage work, you have to just push through. So I think back then,
I think marriage is like both. Marriage is two people. It's a two families, but marriage is a two people. They need to understand each other very, 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 very. They have to become a one. Two men and women become a one. Spiritually and mentally, that's how you become strong, and then then no one can break you. You're gonna get ups and down, and you have to, how do you work? It's like you open up to each other, you bring honesty
and trust
in your relationship. And
we'll definitely do a relationships advice video, because some of those some of the stuff that obviously Mom's saying is a standard. So arranged marriage or not, that's really good relationship advice that we can give you, but it's not all rosy. Mom's experience, like Mom did actually fall in love with Dad, and we actually saw a very healthy mother and father relationship growing up, because they were in love. But there are many arranged marriages that are loveless. They're just together because of the pressures, because of society. They get kids together, and they're not actually internally happy. They're just living under one roof, and that's it. And then now people are starting to break up, some of Mom's generation are getting divorced. So I think the arranged marriage days have come to an end, and now I think for our generation it's better just to pick your own person, but pick them in a good way, and don't rush.
Don't rush, yeah.
Guys, do not rush, because we've been given the freedom and we should absolutely treasure that, because I know personally, Mom brought me up from a child. It was drilled into me, do not get married, like, you know, don't get married until you're ready, study, career. And that's all I cared about. And I remember my friends used to always be like, you don't care about boys. And I was like, yeah, I suppose I do. And they was always like shocked, and they were like, they always used to say to me, I love your mentality, I love that you don't care about boys. And to me, it just was never anything different. But the reality was, like Mom said, you just have to focus on yourself, don't rush, and don't take it lightly, like especially our generation, Indians and people who aren't even Indian. We've got so much freedom, so much we need to be thankful for that generations before us did not have. So don't take it lightly, treasure this time, take your time, and when it does come to finding the right person,
you will find the right person, you know.
Put that work in, and
then go for it.
Then
go for it, and then, you know, that work not stop there. Then obviously we're gonna give you another video on that. But
so guys,
even in arranged marriage in India, I mean, it's no one's really do arranged marriages there anymore. It's still like open. You just go. They're having dating. They have a love marriages more than in here. So it's the era is end.
The era has ended, thank God. And
you guys are lucky people, and you know, just enhance in a good way. You know, there is always, do not take a shortcut. Don't try to rush. Don't try to, you know, be yourself, you know, and, you know, write it down a list of what you're looking for in your marriage, you know, like.
And don't sacrifice.
Yes, you know, have a list. What do you want in a man or a woman? And if the person doesn't tick in your list, move on. You know, don't spend. Don't settle for a less.
Don't settle. I like that.
Yeah.
So that's the end of our arranged marriage story. Mom's arranged marriage story.
I didn't want to tell you.
Why not?
Because it's like, you know, I still feel like very personal.
Yeah, really?
Yes.
I don't think Mum will ever get over it. I think it's scarred her forever. But the reality is, you did it, and you got some amazing kids from it.
Yeah.
And if you went back, would you do it differently?
Definitely. 100%.
No, you're meant to say no regrets.
I don't live in the regrets.
Good.
I don't, my life, or whatever I had or went through, that was the time, the decision I made, the choices I made, I just take it on board, and I own them, and I overcome. If any issue came around, I just you know, I'll conquer them on the way and move on. You know, life is too short. I believe life is too short, and life is to make it, not to break it. And you know,
absolutely, words of wisdom: make it, don't break it.
That's it.
So we hope you enjoyed it. We'll definitely give you some more great videos on our stories, because trust me, there are many more to come.
And we want to grow our community, and you are the part of the community, and we want to bring positive in our lives, your lives.
Share our experiences, and help everyone. So please share our videos.
Yes.
If you like our videos, tell your friends, and let's grow together. And we'll also see you in our next video.
Yes, we do.
Bye.
Yeah.